So the recent buzz that has everyone in the real estate community running around crazy right now is the ruling that came out from the NAR lawsuit settlement. Now, there are enough videos out there that are outlining what the final outcomes were and what this may mean to people. So I'm not gonna get into that now. What I wanna quickly outline for you guys in this video today are who the winners were, the losers, and two of the surprising heroes that are probably going to emerge from this settlement. So I'll give a little bit of background on how this whole lawsuit came to be, and more importantly, why disruption even happens in any industry. And at the end of the day, that's what this is. This is disruption, which means there's gonna be a huge opportunity on the other side of it for those who choose to see it that way. But please guys, do me a huge favor if you would, and like this video, subscribe to my channel so that I can reach more people about very important and timely topics like this one. My name is Arjun Dhingra. I am a two-time Taekwondo world champion, former Team USA co-head coach, and a 23-year mortgage vet. Not an actual veteran, but a veteran of the industry. Father to two beautiful girls, and I live here in Northern California, and it is my mission to try and help raise financial literacy around topics like this and helping people make smarter decisions when it comes to taking out mortgage debt. I'm very passionate that this industry gets better if we all, as lenders and realtors, are more effective marketers. So let's get into the video. Okay, first, let's define what disruption is and how it applies to various industries, because there's plenty of it going on right now. Let's look at the taxi cab industry, for example. You have a dormant and basically stagnant industry of drivers, cars that don't smell very good and are not very clean and sometimes leave marks on your nice outfit when you're actually trying to get somewhere, but are facing no competition. So because it's the only game in town, they got lazy. They didn't update their product. They weren't innovative on how to make the experience better for the consumer, or in this case, the rider. So what happens? You get entrepreneurs that are on the outside scratching their heads looking and saying, that industry is ripe for disruption. We can come in and do something better. There's no competition. It's not going anywhere, which means it's an industry that's still going to be very relevant. And if anything, it just needs a facelift. So enter Uber and Lyft. Completely changes the game. And before the taxi cab industry knows what's happening, it's been punched in the mouth so hard that it's basically rendered ineffective, useless, or a thing of the past. Now, not every industry gets fully disrupted whenever an entrepreneur or money or a certain technology sector decides to come in and shake things up. If you look at lending, for example, e-lenders came and disrupted our industry many years ago. This was creating an alternative to people because they were completely dissatisfied and very, very unhappy with the overall mortgage process, to the point where they looked at mortgage originators like me and said, I don't really know what you even do or why I need you at all. So why can't I just go directly to the internet, have an easier to use platform or interface, and just do my own mortgage? So e-lenders started taking over and grew very quickly in popularity. But at the end of the day, it didn't fully disrupt this industry because there are just certain aspects of the mortgage process that no technology can actually replace. You still are going to need a creative human being on the other end of the deal to be able to structure the transaction, especially when it's a little bit more complicated, like it is for almost every borrower out there. Okay, so now let's look at the NAR lawsuit and how this all came to pass. You basically had buyers who felt that they were perhaps overpaying for houses because they never had an opportunity to negotiate the commission that was being paid to their agent, and that this was unnecessarily driving up home prices. You also had sellers start to feel like they shouldn't be paying out that buyer's commission anyways, and it should be negotiated between that buyer and their particular agent. So take all of this and a group of attorneys who've been waiting, licking their chops to come in and disrupt this space, and you have the perfect environment or storm for this kind of disruption. And that's exactly what happened, because let's face it, at the end of the day, real estate commissions and how all these deals have been structured have been coming under attack for decades. People have been waiting to turn this thing upside down, and now they feel that they may finally have their victory. So again, there are plenty of videos online that go through all of the details and the final rulings and outcomes of the lawsuit. But right now, I want to talk about who the winners are. First is the media. The media always wins whenever you have a complete frenzy around a topic, all kinds of misinformation, and general consumer or public confusion, which is exactly what we have in this case. If you were to pull up 10 different videos on either YouTube or any social media platform about this topic, you might hear 10 different opinions. And all 10 of those videos may have gone viral, which means we have a public that is very misinformed and misled on this topic. But the only winner in those scenarios is the media, because at the end of the day, they want you on their platform, they want you clicking through, they want you to be exposed to their advertisements, they want you to be exposed to the marketing that is being paid by their advertisers, and ultimately continue redistributing or sharing content from their news publication. So that's winner number one. The second winner, perhaps actually the biggest when it comes to the money side of it, are the attorneys. Attorneys always win in huge lawsuits like this because they get such a large percentage of the settlement outcome. They truly are the winners because at the end of the day, no home buyer or home seller is being rewarded tens of millions of dollars as an outcome here. If anything, there's very little money going to actual individuals. The next winner are listing agents. Because now the market is going to shift to where the priority within real estate is going to be very heavy for agents to go and acquire as many listings as they can so that they can secure their commission and be completely immune to these rulings, is only going to increase. But if you are a real estate agent and most of your business focuses on listings, you're going to be just fine and you are declared a winner here. Now, as soon as I outline the losers in this, I'm going to come back to winners because I believe there are two surprise winners or eventual heroes that are going to come in the wake of this ruling. So now let's get into the loser. The number one loser in this entire outcome are buyers. Now, this entire lawsuit has been pitched, publicized, and framed around helping buyers, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to do nothing to actually benefit them. By convincing buyers that they no longer need the expertise of a very good buyer's agent is only going to lead them to land into very poorly structured deals where they might overpay or actually just miss out on a home entirely. There's also a lot of legalities that they might overlook and land in some actual hot water. It also is not going to bring down the cost of real estate one penny. One of the biggest misconceptions out of this ruling is that home prices are going to crash or that home buying is suddenly going to become very affordable. Nothing could be further from the truth. If we're looking at a buyer's commission of 3% and somehow manage to correlate that with a sharp decline in home prices, someone's math is clearly off. So it's just not going to happen. The next loser in this game is going to be the industry in general, because the industry has already taken it on the chin over these last couple of years with record low inventory, an imbalanced amount of buyers that are still out there in this market, and 25-year mortgage rate highs. So this has been a very challenging market to say the least. And now with this kind of disruption and misinformation and media frenzy, the industry is going to suffer in the short run. Ultimately, I feel that the entire industry is going to come out of this a major winner and survive this disruption and become stronger. But for the rest of this year, in all likelihood, it's going to be a little bit more of an upstream swim. The other loser out of this ruling, it's worth mentioning, are going to be agents that were very one-dimensional. If you were an agent that only represented buyers and didn't really bring a lot of value to the table because you felt very relaxed about the fact that your commission was always paid and fairly well secured, this is going to be very difficult for you. So now let's get into the two emerging heroes out of this. And I think that's me as a lender and you as a buyer's agent. Now hear me out. Most people think that those two people are actually big losers in this whole thing, but I couldn't disagree more. First, for lenders. Most lenders have been seeking a way to go direct to consumer or find a way to control the real estate transaction more. And this could not be a better opportunity to do so. If you have a bunch of people who ultimately, even though it's not necessarily the correct way to go about a transaction, go and find their own properties, seek out communication directly with a listing agent, and search for property online, where are they likely going to get their financing from? It's going to be online as well. So lenders who have high visibility on the internet and through social media platforms are going to be the ones that are sucking up the most oxygen when it comes to this conversation and likely will connect with those consumers one-to-one. Because with no buyer's agent to refer you as a buyer to a lender, you, the buyer, are going to seek out a lender probably online or through these platforms that you use to gather your information. So lenders are definitely going to emerge as winners as a result of this outcome. The other and perhaps most important now in this, and this is my pep talk to all the agents out there, is you, the buyer's agent. So I believe now for buyer's agent is finally going to be the time where you can be super clear and concise about what it is that you bring to the table. Why should people use you? Why is your expertise the difference between someone getting a home or not getting a home? How is it that you've helped more people get into contract that would not have otherwise been able to do so if they'd used somebody else? These are the questions that you're going to need to answer. And while many are feeling fearful that they have to have this awkward and very uncomfortable conversation with a client to enter into an agreement to pay their commission about what is this going to cost you to work with me, I believe the question needs to be reframed of what will it cost you to not work with me? If you can be really clear on that question and boldly be able to outline those differences and why you are the very best at what you do, I think your business is only going to get stronger, because at the end of the day, whenever you have disruption, one of the first things that happens are the weak leave that industry or market immediately. So we will see potentially as much as 1 million agents just exit this business altogether. And let's be honest, we already have enough real estate agents out there, so this is not going to be anything terrible. But for those that stick it out and are left when all the dust settles, it's now going to be time to get really clear and concise about what makes you different and why people need to choose you. you. So by creating content, marketing yourself better, even coming up with a really structured set of benefits that someone's going to get if they enter into one of these agreements with you, you're going to have a chance now to clearly and starkly outline the differences between you and everyone you compete against in this market. So again, with all disruption comes massive opportunity. Our industry faced this back in 2007 when our entire commission and compensation model got turned upside down, similar to what's happening right now in real estate. And those of us that stuck it out and outlasted the week, ultimately were able to build and create very strong careers in this space. I don't think it's going to be any different for buyer's agents in this market. So if you see this as an opportunity, which it is, and you can capitalize on really starkly and clearly defining what makes you different, I think there's only going to be more business on the other side of this ruling for you than you could have imagined. Now, here's my final take on this. Ultimately, what this ruling is actually going to mean to this industry, wait for it, is very little. Many sellers will still choose and opt to paying some form of a commission to a buyer's agent because at the end of the day, if they have a very good agent representing them, they're going to advise them that if we want top dollar or the best opportunity to sell this house, we need to offer some kind of compensation or partial compensation to a buyer's agent so that they are incentivized to bring interest to this property. So that's not necessarily going to go away. And for the buyers that can afford it and are willing to pay their agent, or if there is an outcome or a ruling or an opportunity for those costs to be potentially financed into the mortgage, and we don't know that quite yet, but it's definitely a possibility, then very little may change. Home prices are still going to remain high and will not crash as a result of this ruling. At the end of the day, we still have way too many people that want a home compared to how many homes are actually available. And there's no kind of disruption pertaining to the real estate brokerage side of the model that's going to affect that. But I think what we can expect is that some 80% of buyers are gonna go and figure that they can do this on their own. So they're gonna have to learn the hard way and touch the hot stove before realizing you shouldn't touch it. They'll go out there, try and conduct their own transaction, approach listing agents, maybe even potentially represent themselves to some degree. And then after enough bad transactions have actually been recorded, the rumor and the word on the street will be that this is not such a good idea to do by yourself. I mean, look, you could represent yourself in court if you really truly wanted to, simply because you've watched a lot of Law and Order, but is it really that good of an idea? Or you could try and cure whatever ailment you have by spending loads of time on WebMD, or you could actually go to a doctor that's going to get it done for you. So there's no cutting corners when it comes to the largest indebtedness of your life, which is buying a house. Just like there isn't if you had to defend yourself in court because your life could be on the line or your health could be on the line with a medical issue. You guys get the point. So I think ultimately people will eventually wisen up and land back right at square one, which is using a good qualified buyer's agent, obviously through a different type of arrangement now because of the agreements that they have to enter into. But 1 or 2 years from now, the industry is not going to look very different, other than the fact that whatever agents remain are going to be very good ones. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.